Right, first things first, if you forgive the quality of the video, it's an old webcam I found in a drawer, so I don't believe it's that good. I might look into getting a better one at some point, but we shall see. Right, this is a quick video to have a look at the Endy 250LB, how it works, how the initial setup goes. We'll start with the setup and then we'll go on to engraving a couple of test pieces. So as ever, first things first, power the laser up. Tap the homing switch a couple of times to home it, and then fire up Lightburn. So we check to make sure the laser's set to the right COM port. Homing switch again a couple of times to home it, and we are good. So for the y-axis speed, if you've got a heavy big object attached to the Endy, the default y speed may throw it around a little. So with this one, I've found if I do a $$ in the console and find the $111 setting in there, that's set to 9,000 millimeters per minute, which I found is a bit fast when you've got a big cup on there. So I normally enter in there, do $111 equals 1,000 and hit return. So that just slows down the maximum speed on the y-axis. Your mileage may vary with this one. This is quite an old laser, so the acceleration is quite harsh. Right, that is that part, and then the rotary setup. Just need to make sure it's set on the chuck. Click on enable rotary, and the millimeters per rotation needs to be set to 80. So it's a 40 tooth GT pulley with 2mm pitch, that makes 80 millimeters. The object diameter you then set to whatever item you're engraving. So if we start off with my test, I think it's the 20-ounce Yeti, we'll measure that and then we will pop that figure in here. Right, first thing to do is measure the diameter of the object that you're wanting to engrave. So if we're going to find a bit of space at the top of this Yeti, which hopefully we'll be able to, the diameter of that is 87.7, so we'll say 88. So back across to Lightburn, the diameter is already set to 88 because it's obviously the last test I did. And the next step is just mount the cup onto the rotary. It should just slot into the top, slide the lower end up, lock it in place, and that's sorted. Right, back in Lightburn now, you can see that the rotary is enabled. You've got a little green dot there, so we just need to create a bit of text just to engrave. So just bear with me, Endy 250. Don't want it to take too long, so let's just give it 10 millimeters or so. Spin it round into cuts and layers. So we'll set speed here. So this is the x-axis speed. That's the main movements it's going to be making on the x-axis, so we can set that high on the 3000. Power 60. And then if we go back onto the Move tab in Lightburn, we can fire the laser and focus it. Turn the webcam back on so you can see what's happening. So if we frame that now, we're getting there, another little shift. And a smidge to the left. Frame that again. And then we're good to go for a burn. So we'll just click burn and let that run. So that appears to have worked fine. So next step really is switching it to engrave something else. So I've got an early pen here. that I'm willing to sacrifice. So the diameter of the pen barrel is 9.75 millimeters, so around 10 millimeters. So to switch it out, we just need to take the cup out. The ends just unscrew. And then we can put the ends on that we need for the pen. So for this, I'm going to use the nib end, which is that one. Screw that on, and one of the cups just to support the top of the pen. Pop the pen in, slide the top up, lock it down, and for this one we might just need to lower the laser down a bit so the focus is better. And again, the same process, so into the Move tab, fire the laser to make sure we're in focus. Right, as you can see from that, the pen is moving a tiny, tiny amount. So we need to go back into the rotary, change the object diameter to 10 millimeters. Okay, and then frame again. Okay, I would say we're good to go there. So we'll just hit start and let that run. So that's complete and looking good. Could probably do with a little more power, but that's the way it goes. So it's for any item you want to engrave, really. It's quite straightforward. So another example, we've changed the pen nib for one of the cones. So this is just a scrap of wood. It's got a hole drilled through the center, and it is 15.5 millimeters. So we'll pop that on the jig. Lock that in place. Nip it up. Lock it. Back to the Move tab in Lightburn and just fire the laser for focusing, which is looking good, and we're on the top in the center at both ends. So we'll frame that, see how that's going. That looks good to me, so let's just start that running. So for a final example, we've got one of the generic water bottles that you can buy just about everywhere. So the diameter of that's 71 millimeters. So to mount that, we can use the tail end for the Yeti cup and the larger cone. So that will just screw on to the top of the jig. In theory, if I've got the nut straight, there we go. And then, as with everything else, pop it in place, slide the bottom up, make sure it's rotating freely, nip it up, lock it, then we can move the whole rotary, maybe lift the engraver a little, back over to Lightburn, back into the rotary setting, diameter is 71 millimeters, we'll stick with the same bit of text. Check the focus. And this time we will go for a fill. And then a frame. Spin that a little and set that off running. So that's about it really. Any questions, feel free to drop a comment, or I'll stick a link to the Facebook group in the description, so feel free to check that out as well. That's about it. Right, for the final bonus engraving, I've been threatening to do this for a couple of years, never got round to it. So we are going to laser engrave an egg. If you do this at home, please be advised it doesn't smell good. I may be getting kicked out of the kitchen after this.